Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave 3 interviews to leading U.S. media devoted mostly to internal Israeli questions following the government's passage of a part of a judicial reform. Amid continuing protest and growing division in Israel, Netanyahu strongly defended the legislation, called for compromise moving forward, and expressed doubt that the High Court would dare strike down the bill. ILTV Steve Leibovich reports.
No Israeli media have yet to be treated to post-reasonableness law interviews with the Prime Minister, but the U.S. media got 3. Netanyahu told ABC News that the passage corrected an historic imbalance.
We have the most activist judicial court on the planet, and it's arrogated for itself powers from the government, from the executive, and the legislative branches. So we're trying to correct it, but I want to bring the pendulum to the middle. I don't want to bring the pendulum to the other side. There's a middle ground there, and I hope we can achieve it.
After 30 straight weeks of demonstrations, the Israeli leader rejected arguments of the protesters, but not their sincerity.
I don't think the arguments are real, but I think the concern is real because people are afraid. I understand that.
Netanyahu insisted that one way or another, the judicial reforms would continue.
As I said to President Biden, I'll try to proceed, if not with a consensus with the opposition, the other side of the political aisle in our parliament, then at least on something that has broad acceptance in the public. And I think it's possible. I'm actually more optimistic now than I was before, because up to now, now that they can see that we're prepared to move without them. We have the majority. Maybe we'll be able to move with them. And I hope the opposition leaders show responsibility and come to the middle. There is a middle out there.
Netanyahu told CNN that if the Supreme Court strikes down the reasonableness law, it puts Israel in uncharted territory.
Well, look, we'll go into uncharted territory, and I really would like to believe that they won't do that. And the reason is that, first of all, we're all subject to the rule of law. The Prime Minister is subject to the rule of law. The Knesset, our parliament, is subject to the rule of law. The judges are subject to the law. Everybody is subject to the law. Now, the closest thing we have to a constitution are basic laws. That's what we're dealing with. And what you're talking about is a situation, a potential situation, where in American terms, the United States Supreme Court would take a constitutional amendment and say that it's unconstitutional.
Meanwhile, several Likud ministers and MKs are indicating they may not back any more judicial reform laws without broad consensus. MKs Yuli Edelstein, David Bitan, and Eli Dalal all said they would no longer allow the coalition to dictate the process. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant is reportedly willing to go even further and is eyeing a national unity government to counter the strife in society. Gallant and other moderate Likud ministers reportedly want right-wingers Ben Gvir's Otzma Yehudit and Smotrich's religious Zionists out of the government, with Yair Lapid and Yesh Atid and Benny Gantz and the National Unity Party in their place.